My wife decided to leave me for a stranger she met on our 16th anniversary trip to Paris. She looked me dead in the eye and said she found true love. So, I locked her out of our luxury suite, hurled her belongings off the balcony, and flew back to America without her. I'm a successful lawyer. For 6 years, my wife never lifted a finger. She shopped, I paid, and I believed we had a solid marriage. We flew to France to celebrate. Just before dinner, a major client called with an emergency. I told my wife to grab a table at the restaurant next door. When I finally hurried down an hour later, she was sitting outside with another man. He politely stood up, claimed he was just keeping the weirdos away, and walked off. I asked her about him, but she brushed it off. Later that night, I noticed her constantly texting. She lied straight to my face, claiming it was her mother. The next morning at a local market, I stopped to answer a quick work call. 10 minutes passed. I turned around, but she was gone. I called her phone. She answered breathing heavily, claiming she had a bathroom emergency and ran back to the hotel. I waited 20 minutes before walking back. Our room was empty. I called her again. She picked up giggling, said she must have missed me, and hung up. Boiling with rage, I sat at a bar directly across the street, keeping my eyes glued to the hotel entrance. An hour passed. Then, an Uber pulled up. My wife stepped out. The man from the restaurant got out with her. They stood on the sidewalk and shared a passionate kiss. I sprinted across the street screaming. The guy jumped back into the Uber and sped away. I demanded to know what was going on. She didn't flinch. She crossed her arms with pure arrogance. I don't need you anymore. She proudly announced her new lover was going to take care of her. She actually thought she was going to live in Paris forever with a man she met yesterday. Breaking up is never easy, but it's time for us to move on. She turned her back to pack her bags. My shock turned into adrenaline. I sprinted past her. I beat her to the elevators. I rode it to our floor alone. I slid my keycard. I slammed the heavy wooden door. I threw the deadbolt. I heard her frantically twisting the handle from the outside. She started banging her fists against the wood. I ignored her. I walked straight to the closet. I grabbed her designer suitcases. I dragged them across the carpet. I unlatched the heavy glass balcony doors. I pushed them wide open. I grabbed handfuls of her expensive dresses. I tossed them into the evening air. I grabbed her jewelry boxes. I chucked them over the iron railing. Finally, I grabbed her wallet. I pulled out her credit cards and her passport. I flicked them over the edge. I stood on the balcony and watched her entire life rain down onto the pavement. She screamed from the street below. Her new lover eventually came back. I watched this random French guy help my cheating wife peel her underwear off the dirty sidewalk. I yelled every curse word I knew. The next morning, I opened my banking app. I selected every single joint account and credit card we shared. I clicked disable. I cut off her access to my money entirely. I packed my bags, took a cab to the airport, and boarded my flight back to the United States alone. Exactly 4 months later, my doorbell rang. My wife stood on my porch holding a single cheap duffel bag. She begged me to let her stay. She looked exhausted and miserable. I threw my head back and laughed directly in her face. She started crying, complaining that it was incredibly cruel to leave her in a foreign country with absolutely no money. I smiled coldly. I thought your new boyfriend was going to take care of you? She took a shaky breath and confessed it was just a stupid fantasy. She expected me to forgive her. I didn't say a single word. I picked up the finalized divorce decree, held it in front of her weeping face, and slammed the front door shut with so much force it nearly shattered her nose.